So before we get started today, I messed up. My apologies. I had my microphone muted on Streamlabs OBS for the first 15 minutes of that podcast. So you kind of miss out on all the introductory stuff that Sam and I do normally. Some decent riddles in the dark and tiding to the fellowship, and just our quick babbling like Butterbur as well. So make sure you go check that out on the audio version. But without further ado, enjoy. Hello, hello, hello.
I think you're fine.
Is it working now? I'm green.
Yes, it was my headphones cut out. I just unplugged them and put them back in.
Okay, all right.
That was wild. Sorry. Anywho, yeah, thank you, Darren. What were you saying?
I think I might have just actually had my microphone on mute for the entire beginning of that. I don't know for sure, but it's possible.
I mean, I heard you. You were talking back and forth.
Yeah, but I mean in Streamlabs. I guess we'll find out in the VOD. That'd be unfortunate, but yeah, Darren, thank you. Back to Darren. Thank you for the email, and yes, that's a great tie-in. That's what's awesome about it, is everybody's got a different worldview and perspective and lived experiences that they can be like, oh yeah, I see it from this angle. So thanks for emailing. We really appreciate it, and welcome. Glad to have you, man.
Yeah, super stoked to have you as part of the fellowship, man. I'd love to hear. I mean, Jackson, Wyoming, I assume you're an avid snowboarder or skier. I assume snowboarder, though. I don't know. Most Darrens, I feel like, are snowboarders. I don't know why I think that. But would love to hear about your adventures out there, man. I did a lot of snowboarding in Colorado. Seth couldn't really, I don't know. You just never got into it. You did it a couple times, but it wasn't a priority.
I did, but
hockey took too much money and time.
Correct.
Yeah. Which, shout out Avalanche winning a big game against the Minnesota Wild for
insane.
round 2 of the Stanley Cup
Absolutely
playoffs.
insane. All right, but we got a lot of reading. We got to stay on topic.
All right.
Cale Makar graded the Quinn Hughes. We're moving on.
Absolutely, but we are thankful for Quinn Hughes beating the Canadians and
beating Cale Makar in the Olympics.
Yes, but now, yeah.
Yep. Moving
on. Anyway, like we said. Yeah, moving on, we're doing the meat and potatoes of today's podcast, and this is called the Athrobeth of Finrod and Andreth. So it's just really the debate between Finrod and Andreth, and we have already done a little bit of backstory on this. We just kind of very choppily went through this interaction between the two of them. It was a 2-part episode, so go listen to that maybe first before this, or maybe listen to this first.
Probably listen to this first and then that one, I would say.
Yeah. I guess we give a bit more context and dialogue to some of that. Just real quick, do you want to give a little who is Finrod real quick, and I'll kind of touch on Andreth a little bit.
Yeah, so Finrod is one of the elves that came across from Valinor. He's the Lord of Nargothrond. He's known for being the most friendly to the race of men, I guess I would say. A lot of the elves are kind of pretentious and look down on the race of men, but Finrod spends a lot of time with them. He makes some really, really good friends. He really focuses on building friendships and alliances with the race of men. And so this discussion that he's having is like Sam said, he'll get into who Andreth is a little bit, but it's a very deep, interesting conversation that you really don't see other places in Lord of the Rings, just kind of how Christian-like and how deep it really is.
Yes, and just to, I guess, identify some terms, define is the word I was looking for. Define some terms that we will be using throughout. Tolkien uses, these are obviously his elvish words, but hror, that is the spirit or the soul, and the fair, which is more so, that's the mind. So you have the hror, which is your spirit, or
I think you have that backwards, don't you?
I got it backwards. Hror is the body. And fair is the soul, or Fea, and we'll talk about that. And then the Adani or Atani. Atani is just the race of men, which is what Andreth is. She is of the race of men. She is of the house of Beor, which is of Baron's household. She's actually Baron's aunt. So some tie-ins to that as well. But again, she's pretty bitter with just the idea that men have to die and elves do not. And this has been a theme throughout Tolkien's works for pretty much the whole Silmarillion. Doesn't really touch much about it in Lord of the Rings, a little bit with the Dunedain and stuff, but obviously big theme in Numenor, just the desire for long life, the desire for endless life, to be like the elves. But then Finrod brings some counterpoints. They're like, hey, it's not all sunshine and rainbows being immortal. So obviously they will get into that, and we will get into that as well. So you can find this if you just type in like Finrod and Andreth online
PDF.
and just type PDF, and you'll find a
the exact
WordPress
document we're going from.
Exactly. So we're going to start from the very beginning. And so what's really interesting, this is from Morgoth's Ring, which is an expanded work of Tolkien's. And so it starts with Bilbo writes. So is this, I assume, coming kind of from like the Red Book that Bilbo has, kind of his adventures, his journeys, things he's read?
Yeah, I don't really know I think this is probably the only time it's referenced that Bilbo writes this. So it's probably some, supposedly some note that was found later on, or maybe he put it in the book. Who knows?
Yeah, he encounters this text in Rivendell, and he just like has some commentary on it. So, without further ado, and I will be Andreth throughout the conversation, and Seth will be Finrod. So I'm not gonna talk like a girl. I'm just not, not gonna like go full into character. Not a character actor. But anyway, we'll start from the top. Again, Bilbo writes, and I'll jump in. Of all the texts I encountered in Rivendell, I have seen nothing like this one conversation between a spinster and an elf king. It is surely the strangest indeed of all the literature I have read concerning the elder days or the differences between elves and men. The ideas presented within are unusual and often seem contradictory to the other significant texts in the Numenorean Eldarian tradition. How the conversation was accorded and by whom, assuming it is not fabrication, is not known. The text is revered by the Dunedain and even by the elves, who otherwise often mock the reliance of men and hobbits, exclamation point, on writing for their history. One notion is that the memory of the conversation was preserved in the household of Adanel, where it took place, whence it was passed down through their granddaughter Emeldir to her son Baron Camlost. From there, the tale or document would have passed to Dior, on to Elwing, and finally to Elrond and to Elros. Some Numenorean authorities speculate that it was Elros himself who wrote it down, perhaps to justify his choice to embrace mortality. Other authorities suggest that the story was preserved in the family of Beleth, daughter of Bregalath, the grandniece of Andreth, from whose the line came Erindis, the sixth queen of Numenor, and the mother of Numenor's first ruling queen, Tar Ankalime. To me, this avenue of transmission seems more probable. Certainly, the Sindarin texts are very ancient and formal, both in dialect and mode of writing. It seems entirely possible to me that the Athrabeth was actually composed in Beleriand itself, though the Elgaic tone suggests to me that if it was so composed long after the impending ruin that looms over the scene, the Battle of Sudden Flame, or Dagor Bragollach, is foreshadowed at key moments in the conversation, but perhaps before the coming of the host of the West and the breaking of the Thingorudrim. Mayhap, in the mingling in close quarters of refugees of both kindreds at the havens of Sirion and the Isle of Balor, provided a secondary impetus for the messages of hope and caution that it offers. In some ways, its composition might make more sense in that setting. No version of the Athrabeth offers anything in the way of substantial preamble or introduction, but the text dives straight into the problems and early misunderstandings between the Eldar and the Edain about death, bodies, and rough translation of Quenya Hror and spirits or soul or minds, and Quenya Fair. The most authoritative text opens as follows.
Now the Eldar learned that, according to the lore of the Edain, men believed that the Hror were not by right nature short-lived, but had been made so by the malice of Melkor. It was not clear to the Eldar whether men meant by the general marring of Arda, which they themselves held to be the cause of waning of their own horror, or by some special malice against men as men that was achieved in the Dark Ages before the Edain and the Eldar met in Beleriand, or by both. But to the Eldar it seemed that if the mortality of the men had come by special malice, the nature of men had been grievously changed from the first designs of Eru, and it was a matter of wonder and dreaded to them, for if it were indeed so, then the power of Melkor must, or have been from the beginning, far greater than even the Eldar had understood, whereas the original nature of men must have been strange indeed, and unlike that of many other dwellers in Arda.
Concerning these things, it is recorded in the ancient lore of the Eldar that once Finrod Felagund and Andreth the Wise Woman conversed in Beleriand long ago. This tale, which the Eldar call Athribeth Finrod a Andreth, is here given in one of the forms that has been preserved. Finrod, son of Finarfin, son of Finwë, was the wisest of the exiled Noldor, being more concerned than all the others with matters of thought, rather than making of his own skill of hand. He was eager, moreover, to discover all that he could concerning mankind. He it was that first met men in Beleriand and befriended them, and for this reason he was often called by the Eldar Adinel, the friend of men. His chief love was given to the people of Beor, the Old, for it was these that he had first found in the woods of eastern Beleriand. Andreth was a woman of the house of Beor, the sister of Bregor, father of Barahir, whose son was Baron One-Handed, the Renowned. She was wise in thought and learned in the lore of men and their histories, for which reason the Eldar called her Salind, wise heart. Of the wise, some were women, and they were greatly esteemed among men, especially for their knowledge of the legends of ancient days. Another wise woman, though of different house and different tradition, was Adinel, sister of Magor, Daggerland, grandfather of Hador Lorindol. She married Belemir of the house of Beor, grandson of Belin, second son of Beor the Old, to whom the wisdom of Beor, for Beor himself had been one of the wise, was chiefly transmitted.
And there had been great love between Belmir and Andreth, his younger kinswoman, the daughter of his second cousin Boromir. I like how he reuses names. And she
Mm-hmm.
dwelt long in his house, and so learned much of the lore and of the people of the Marach, and the house of Hador from Adinel. In the days of peace before Melkor broke the siege of Angband, Finrod often would visit Andreth, whom he loved in great friendship, for he found her more ready to impart her knowledge to him than were most of the wise among men. A shadow seemed to lie upon them, and there was a darkness behind them, of which they were loath to speak, even among themselves. And they were in awe of the Eldar, and would not easily reveal to them their thought or their legends. Indeed, the wise among men, who were few, for the most part kept their wisdom secret and handed it only to those whom they chose. Now it chanced that on a time of spring, Finrod was for a while a guest in the house of Belmir, and he fell to talking with Andreth, the wise woman, concerning men and their fates. For at that time Boron, lord of the folk of Beor, had but lately died, soon after Yule, and Finrod was grieved. So now the
And
dialogue.
here's
Go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, so here's where we'll start the dialogue. Again, I, Sam, will be playing the role of Andreth, the wise woman, and Seth will be playing the esteemed role of Finrod Felagund. So, without further ado, the Athribeth of Finrod and Andreth.
Sad to me, Andreth, is the swift passing of your people. For now Boron, your father's father, is gone, and though he was old, you say, as age goes among men, yet I have known him too briefly, little while yet it seems to me, since I first saw Beor in the east of this land, and now he is gone, and his sons, and his sons' sons also. More than oh
More
wait,
than 100
yeah.
More than 100 years it is now, said Andreth, since we came over the mountains, and Beor and Baron and Boron each lived beyond his 90th year. Our passing was swifter before we found this land.
Then you are content here?
Content? No, no heart of man is content. All passing and dying is grief to it. But if the withering is less soon, then that is some of amendment, little lifting of the shadow.
What do you mean by that?
Surely you know well the darkness that is now confined in the north, but once, and here she paused with her eyes darkened as if her mind were gone back into the black years best forgot, but once lay upon all Middle Earth, while ye dwelt in your bliss.
It was not concerning the shadow that I asked. What mean you, I would say, by the lifting of it? Or how is the swift fate of men concerned with it? Ye also behold Ye also, we hold, being instructed by the great who know, are children of Eru, and your fate and nature is from him.
I see. That is, that ye of the high elves do not differ from your lesser kindred, whom we have met in the world, though they have never dwelt in the light. All ye elves deem that we die swiftly by our true kind, that we are brittle and brief, and yet are strong and lasting. We may be children of Eru, as ye say in your lore, but we are children to you also, to be loved a little maybe, and yet creatures of less worth, upon whom ye may look down from the height of your power and your knowledge with a smile or with pity, or with shaking of heads.
It's pretty bitter.
Yeah.
Alas, you speak near the truth. At last, at least many of my people, but not of all, and certainly not of me. But consider this well, Andreth. When we name you children of Eru, we do not speak lightly. For that name we do not utter ever in jest or without full intent. When we speak so, we speak out of knowledge, not out of mere elvish lore, and we proclaim that ye are our kin, in a kinship far closer, both of horror and Thea, than that which binds together all other creatures of Arda, and ourselves to them. Uh, Other creatures also in Middle Earth we love in their measure and kind, the beasts and the birds who are our friends, the trees and even the fair flowers that pass more swiftly than men. Their passing we regret, but believe it to be part of their nature, as are their shapes and their hues. But for you, who are nearer our kin, our regret is far greater. Yet if we consider the briefness of life in all of Middle Earth, must we not believe that your brevity is also part of your nature? Do not your own people believe this too? And yet from your words and their bitterness, I guess that you think that we err.
Think that you err, and all who think likewise, and all that the error itself comes of the shadow. But to speak of men, some will say this and some that, but most thinking little will ever hold that what is in their brief span in the world has ever been so, and shall so ever remain, whether they like it or no. But there are some that think otherwise. Men call them wise, but heed them little. For they do not speak with assurance or with one voice, having no sure knowledge such as ye boast of, but perforce, depending upon lore, for which is truth, if it can be found, must be winnowed. And in every winnowing there is chaff, with that corn that is chosen, and doubtless some corn with that chaff is rejected. Yet among my people, from wise unto wise, out of the darkness comes the voice saying that men are now as they were, nor as their true nature was their beginning. And clearer still is said by the wise people of the Marak, who have preserved in memory a name for him that ye call Eru, though in my folk he was almost forgotten. So I learned from Adenel. They say plainly that men are not by nature short lived, but have become so through the malice of the Lord of Darkness, whom they do not name.
That I can well believe, that your bodies suffer in some measure the malice of Melkor, for you live in Arda marred, as do we, and all the matter of Arda was tainted by him. Before ye or we came forth, and drew our horror and the sustenance therefrom, all save only maybe Aman, before he came here, became there. Before he came there, excuse me. For now it is not otherwise with the Quendi themselves. Their health and stature is diminished. Already those of us who dwell in Middle Earth, and even those who have returned to it, to find that it has changed their bodies swifter in the beginning, and that I judge must forebode that they will prove less strong to last than they were designed to be, though this may not be clearly revealed for many long years. And likewise with the horror of men. So, again, horror is body. They are weaker than they should be. Thus it comes to pass that here in the West, to which of old his power scarcely extended, they have more health, as you say.
Nay, nay, you do not understand my words. If you were ever in one mind, my lord, the elves are the elves, and men are the men. And though they have a common enemy by whom both are injured, still the ordained interval remains between the lords and the humble. The first comers high and enduring, the followers lowly and brief of service. That is not the voice that the wise hear out of the darkness from behind it, beyond it. Nay, Lord, the wise among men say, we were not made for death, nor bore ever to die. Death was imposed on us, and behold, the fear of it is always with us, and we flee from it forever as the heart of the hunter. But for myself, I deem that we cannot escape this within this world. Nay, not even if we could come to the light beyond the sea, or that Aman of which ye tell. In that hope we set out and have journeyed through many lives of men. But the hope was in vain. So said the wise. But that did not stay the march. For as I have said, they are little heeded. And lo, we have fled from the shadow to the last shores of Middle Earth, to find only that it is here before us. Then Finrod went silent. Sorry.
Then Finrod was silent, but after a while he said, these words are strange and terrible, and you speak with bitterness of one whose pride has been humiliated, and seeks therefore to wound those to whom she speaks. If all the wise among men speak so, then well I can believe that ye have suffered some great hurt. But not by my people, Andreth, nor by any of the Quendi. If we are as we are, and ye are as we find you, that is not by any deed of ours, nor of our desire. And your sorrow does not rejoice us, nor feed our pride. Only one would say otherwise, that enemy, whom you do not name. Beware the chaff of with your corn, Andreth, for it may be deadly. Lies of the enemy that out of envy will breed hate. Not all the voices that come out of the darkness speak truth to those minds that listen for strange news. But who did this hurt to you? Who imposed death upon you? Melkor, it is plain that you would say, or whatever name you have for him in secret. For you speak of death and his shadow as if they were one and the same. And as if to escape the shadow was to escape from also death.
These two are not the same.
Still, oh no, it's still me. It's still me. I thought that was you. I thought it said Andreth. Reading out loud, right? But these two are not the same, Andreth. So I deem, or death would not be found that at all in this world which he did not design but another. Nay, death is but the name that we give to something that he has tainted, and it sounds therefore evil, but untainted, its name would be good.
What do ye know of death? Ye do not fear it, because ye do not know it.
We have seen it, and we fear it. We too may die, Andreth, and we have died. My father's father was cruelly slain, and many have followed him. Exiles in the night, in the cruel ice, in the insatiable sea. And in Middle Earth we have died, by fire and by smoke, by venom and by cruel blades of battle. Feanor is dead, and Fingolfin was trodden under the feet of Morgoth. For what end? To overthrow the shadow? Or if that may not be, to keep it from spreading once more all over Middle Earth, to defend the children of Eru, Andreth. All the children, and not the proud Eldar only.
I had heard that it was to regain your treasure that your enemy had stolen. But maybe the house of Finarfin is not one with the sons of Feanor. Nonetheless, for all your valor, I say again, what do ye know of death? To you it may be in pain, it may be bitter and a loss, but only for a time, a little taken from abundance, unless I have been told untruth. For ye know that in dying you do not leave the world, and that you may return to life. Otherwise, it is with us. Dying we die, and we go not to no return. Death is an uttermost end, a loss, irredeemable, and it is an abominable, for it is also a wrong that is done to us.
That difference I perceive. You would say that there are two deaths. The one is a harm and a loss, but not an end, and the other is an end without redress, and the Quendi suffer only the first.
Yes, but there's also a difference there as well. One is but a wound in the chances of the world, which the brave or the strong or the fortunate may hope to avoid. The other is death, ineluctable death, that the hunter who cannot in the end be escaped. Be a man strong or swift or bold, be he wise or fool, be he evil, or be he in all the deeds of his days just and merciful, let him love the world or loathe it, he must die, and must leave it, and become carrion that men are fain to hide or to burn.
And being thus pursued, have men no hope?
They have certainly, they know, they have no certainty and no knowledge, only fears or dreams in the dark. But hope? Hope is that of another matter, of which even the wise seldom speak. Then her voice grew more gentle. Yet, Lord Finrod, of the house of Finarfin, of the high and puissant elves, perhaps we may speak of it anon, you and I.
Anon we may. But as yet we walk in the shadows of fear. Thus far, then, I perceive that the great difference between elves and men is in the speed of the end. In this only. For if you deem that for the Quendi there is no death ineculable, that's a weird word. I'm gonna have to look that up. I assume like
Ineluctable.
permanent. I'm assuming it means permanent. Assuming for if you deem that for the Quendi there is no death ineculable, you err. Now, that word just throws everything off.
Ineluctable.
Inelectable.
Inelectable. It's not, they didn't elect it. That's what it means, I think.
Yeah,
It's
see,
unelected.
once you actually sound out the word, it kind of makes sense, right? So like unchosen death.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay, now that we cleared that up, now none of us know, though the Valar may know, the future of Arda, or how long it is ordained to endure. But it will not endure forever. It was made by Eru, but he is not in it. The one only has no limits. Arda and Ea itself must therefore be bound. You see us, the Quendi, still in the first ages of our being, and the end is far off. As maybe among you death may seem to a young man in his strength, save that we have the long years of life and thought already behind us, but the end will come. That we all know. And then we must die. We must perish utterly. It seems, for we belong to Arda and Hora and Thea. And what beyond that? The going out to no return. As you say, the uttermost end, the irredeemable loss. Our hunter is slow-footed, but he never loses the trail. Beyond the day when we shall blow the mort, we have no certainty, no knowledge, and no one speaks to us of hope.
I did not know this. And yet,
at least ours is slow-footed, you say. True. But it is not clear that for a foreseen doom long delayed, it is in all ways a lighter burden than the one that comes soon. But if I have understood your words thus far, you do not believe that this difference was designed so in the beginning. You were not first doomed to a swift death. Much could be said concerning this belief, be it true guess or no. But first I would ask, how do ye say that this has come about? By the malice of Melkor, I guessed, and you have not denied it. But I see now that you do not speak of the diminishment that all in Arda Mard suffer, but of some special stroke of enmity against your people, against men, as men. Is that so?
it is indeed.
Then of this matter, then this is a matter of dread. We know Melkor, the Morgoth, and know him to be mighty. Yeah, I have seen him. Oh, sorry, your camera blinked on and off. um,
Sorry.
you're good. Yeah, I have seen him, and I have heard his voice, and I have stood blind in the night that is at the heart of his shadow, whereof you, Andreth, know not save by hearsay and the memory of your people. But never even in the night have we believed that he could prevail against the children of Eru. This one he might cozen, or that one might corrupt, but to change the doom of the people of the children, to rob them of their inheritance. If he could do that in Eru's despite, then greater and more terrible is he by far than we have guessed. And all of the valor of the Noldor is but presumption and folly. Nay, Valinor and the mountains of the Pelori are builded on sand.
Behold, did I not say that ye do not know death? Lo, when you are made to face it, in thought only, as we know it indeed, and in thought that all our lives, at once you fall into a despair. We know, if ye do not, that the Nameless is Lord of this world, and your valor, and ours too, is a folly, or at least it is fruitless.
Beware, beware lest you speak the unspeakable, wittingly or in ignorance, confounding Eru with the enemy, who you would fain have you do so. The Lord of this world is not he, but the one who made him, and his vicegerent, vice regent, and his vice regent. I got there eventually. And his vice regent is Manwë, the elder king of Arda, who is blessed. Nay, Andreth, the mind darkened and distraught, to bow and to yet loathe, to flee and yet not to reject, to love the body and yet scorn it. The carrion disgust. These things may come from Morgoth, indeed, but to doom the deathless to death, far from father unto son, and yet to leave to them the memory of an inheritance taken away, and the desire for what it is lost. Could the Morgoth do this? No, I say, for that I reason, I said that, and for that reason I said that if your tale is true, then all of Arda is in vain. From the pinnacle of Oyelose to the uttermost abyss, for I do not believe your tale. No one could have done this save the one. Therefore I say to you, Andreth, what did ye do, ye men, long ago in the dark? How did ye anger Eru? For otherwise all of your tales are but dark dreams devised in the dark mind. Will you say what you know or have heard?
Will not. We do not speak of this to those other of our race. But indeed, the wise are uncertain and speak with contrary voices. For whatever happened long ago, we have fled from it, and we have tried to forget. So long have we tried that we now cannot remember any time in which we were not as we are, save only legends of days when death came less swiftly and our span was still far longer. But already there was death.
Ye cannot remember? Are there no tales of your days before death, though ye will not tell them to strangers?
Maybe. If not among my folk, then among the folk of Adenel, perhaps. She fell silent and gazed at the fire.
Do you think that none know save yourselves? Said Finrod at last. Do you not know the Valar? Or do not the Valar know?
Andreth looked up and her eyes darkened. The Valar? How should I know, or any man? Your Valar do not trouble us, either with care or with instruction. They sent no summons to us.
What do you know of them? I have seen them and dwelt among them, and in the presence of Manwë and Varda, I have stood in the light. Speak not of them so, nor of anything that is high above you. Such words come first out of the lying mouth. Has it never entered into your thought, Andreth, that out there in the long ages past ye may have put yourselves out of their care and beyond the reach of their help? Or even that ye, the children of men, were not a matter that they could have governed, that they could govern? For ye were too great. Yeah, I mean this, and do not only flatter your pride, too great, sole masters of yourselves within Arda, under the hand of the one. Beware then, beware then how you speak. If ye will not speak to others of your wound, or how ye came by it, take heed, lest, as an unskilled leeches, ye misjudge the hurt, or in pride misplace the blame. But let us turn now to other matters. Since you will not say more of this, I will consider your first state before the wound. For what you say of that is also to me a wonder, and hard to understand. You say, we were not made for death, nor born ever to die. What do you mean? That ye were as we are, or otherwise?
This Lord takes no account of you, for we knew nothing of the Eldar. We considered only dying and not dying, of life as long as the world, but no longer than we had not heard. Indeed, not until now has it entered my mind.
To speak truly, I had thought that this belief. Wow, let me try that again. To speak truly, I had thought that this belief of yours, that was hard for me for some reason, that ye too were not made for death, was but a dream of your pride, bred in envy of the Quendi, to equal or surpass them. Not so, you say, yet long ere ye came to this land, ye met other folk of the Quendi, and by some were befriended. Were ye not already then mortal? And did ye never speak with them concerning life and death? Though without any words, they would soon discover your mortality, and ere long you would perceive that they did not die.
Not so, I say indeed. We may have been mortal when we first met the elves far away, or maybe we were not. Our Lord does not say, or at least none that I have learned. But already we have learned our lore, and needed none from the elves. We knew that in our beginning we had been born never to die. And by that, my lord, we meant born to everlasting life, without any shadow of an end.
Then have the wise among you considered how strange is the true nature that they claim for the Atani?
Is it so strange? Many of the wise hold that their true nature is no living things would die.
In that the Eldar would say that they err. To us, your claim for men is strange, and indeed hard to accept, for two reasons. You claim, if you fully understood your own words, to have had imperishable bodies, not bound by the limits of Arda, and yet derived from its matter and sustained by it. And you claim also, though this you may not have perceived, to have had Hror and Fe that were from the beginning out of harmony. Yet harmony of horror and Fea is, we believe, essential to the true nature, unmarred, of all the incarnate, the Miroanwi, as we call the children of Eru.
The first difficulty I perceive, and to it our wise have their own answer. The second, as you guess, I do not perceive.
Do you not? Then do you not see yourselves clearly? But it may often happen that friends and kinsmen see some things plainly that are hidden from their friend himself. Now we, Eldar, are your kinsmen, and your friends also, if you would believe it. And we have observed you already through 3 lives of men, with love and concern and of much thought. Of this, then, we are certain without debate, or else all of our wisdom is in vain. The fare of men, though close akin indeed to the fare of the Quendi, are not the same. For strange as we deem it, we see clearly that the fare of men are not, as ours, confined to Arda, nor is Arda their home. Can you deny it? Now we Eldar do not deny that ye love Arda, and all that there is therein, in so far as ye are free from the shadow. Maybe even as greatly as we do, yet otherwise each of our kindreds perceives Arda differently, and appraises its beauties in different mode and degree. How shall I say it? To me, the difference seems like that between one who visits a strange country and abides there a little while, but need not, and one who has lived in that strange land always and must. To the former, all things that he sees are new and strange, and in that degree lovable. To the other, all things are familiar. The only things that are his to the other, all things are familiar. The only things that are his own, and in that degree, precious.
You mean that men are the guests?
You have said the word, that name we have given to you.
Lordly as ever. But even if we be but guests in a land where all is your own, my lords, as you say, tell me, what other land or things do we know?
Nay, tell me, for if you do not know, how can we? But do you not know that the Eldar say of men that they look at nothing, at nothing, at no thing for itself, that they study it to discover something else, that if they love it, they see it only, so it seems, because it reminds them of something other, some other clearer thing? Yet with what is this comparison? Where are these other things? We are both elves and men in Arda, and of Arda, and such knowledge as men have derived from Arda, or so it would appear. Whence then comes this memory that ye have with you, even before ye begin to learn? It is
You
not
keep
of,
going.
yeah, I was just getting my next paper. It is not of other regions in Arda from which ye have journeyed. We have also journeyed from afar. But were you and I to go together to your ancient homes east I should all I should recognize the things there as part of my home, but I should see them in your eyes the same wonder and comparison as I see in the eyes of men in Beleriand who were born here.
You speak strange words, Finrod, which I have not heard before. Yet my heart is stirred as if by some truth that is recognized, even if it does not understand it. But fleeting is that memory, and goes ere it can be grasped, and then we grow blind. And those among us who have known the Eldar, and maybe have loved them, say on our side, there is no weariness in the eyes of the elves, and we find that they do not understand the saying that goes among men. Too often seen is seen no longer. And they wonder much that in the tongues of men the same word may mean both long known and stale. We have thought that this was so only because the elves have lasting life and undiminished vigor. Grown up children, we, the guests, sometimes call you, my lord, and yet, if nothing in Arda for us holds its savor long, and all fair things grow dim, what then? Does it not come from the shadow upon our hearts? Or do you say that it is not so? But this was ever our nature, even before the wound?
I say so indeed. The shadow may have darkened your unrest, bringing swifter weariness and soon turning it to disdain. But the unrest was ever there, I believe. And if it is this so, and if this is so, then can you now perceive the disharmony of that I spoke of? If indeed your wisdom had lore like ours, teaching that the Merawani, or the children of Eru, are made of a union of body and mind, of Hror and Fea, or as we say in picture, the house and the dweller. For what is the death that you mourn, but the serving of these two? And what is this deathless that you have lost, but that the two should remain ununited forever? But what then shall we think of the union of man and man, of an indweller who is but a guest here in Arda, and not here at home with a house that is built of the matter of Arda, and must therefore, one would suppose, here remain. At least one would not hope for this house a life longer than Arda of which it is a part. Yet you claim that the house too was immortal. Do you not? I would rather believe that such Fea of its own nature would at some time of its own will have abandoned the house of its sojourn here, even though the sojourn might have been longer than it's now permitted. Then death would, as I said, have sounded otherwise to you as a release or a return, nay, as going home. But you do not believe it, it seems.
Nay, I do not believe this. For that would be contempt of the body, and this is a thought of the darkness, unnatural in any of the incarnate, whose life uncorrupted is a union of mutual love. But the body is not an inn to keep a traveler warm for a night ere he goes on his way, and then to receive another. It is a house, made for one dweller only. Indeed, it's not only a house, but a raiment also. It is not dear to me that we should, in this case, speak only of the raiment being fitted to the wearer rather than that of the wearer being fitted to the raiment. I hold, then, that it is not the thought of the severance of these two could be according to the true nature of men. For were it natural for the body to be abandoned and die, but natural for the Fea to live on, then there would indeed be disharmony in man, and his parts would not be united by love. His body would be a hindrance at best, or a chain. An imposition indeed, not a gift. But there is one who imposes, and who devises chains, and if such were our nature in the beginning, then we spoke should derive from it. But that you should say should not be spoken. Alas, out of the darkness men do say this none the less. Not the Etani, as thou knowest, not now. I hold that is in this we are as ye are truly incarnates, and that we do not live in our right being and its fullness save in a union of love and peace between the house and the dweller. Wherefore death which divides them is a disaster to both.
Evermore you amaze my thought, Andreth. For if your claim is true, then lo, the Fea which is here, but a traveler is wedded indissolubly to a horror of Arda. To divide them is a grievous hurt, and yet each must fulfill its right nature without tyranny of the other. Then this must surely follow. The Fea, when it departs, must take with it the horror. And what can this mean unless it be that the Fea shall have the power to uplift the horror in its eternal spouse and companion unto the endurance everlasting beyond Ea and beyond time. Thus would Arda, or part thereof, be healed not only of the taint of Melkor, but released even from the limits that were set for it in the vision of Eru, of which the Valar speak. Therefore, I say that if this can be believed, then mighty indeed under Eru were men made in their beginning, and dreadful beyond all other claim was the change in their state. It is, then, a vision of what was designed to be when Arda was complete, of living things, and even of the very lands and the seas of Arda made eternal and indestructible, forever beautiful and new, with which the Fea of men compare what they see here. Or is there somewhere else a world of which all things which we see, all things that enter elves or men know, are only tokens remembered?
If so, it resides in the mind of Eru, I deem. To such questions how can we find the answers here in the midst of Arda Mard? Otherwise it might have been, had we not been changed, but being as we are. Even the wise among us have given little thought to Arda itself, or to other things that dwell here. We have thought most of ourselves, of our Hror and Fair, should have dwelt together for ever in joy, and of the darkness impenetrable that now awaits us.
Then not only the high Eldar are forgotten of their ken, but this is strange to me, and even as did your heart when I spoke of your unrest. So now mine leaps up as at the hearing of good news. This then I propound. I propound. Okay. This then I propound was the errand of men, not the followers, but the heirs and the fulfillers of all, to heal the marring of Arda, already foreshadowing before their devising, and to do more as the agents of the magnificence of Eru, to enlarge the music and surpass the vision of the world. For that Arda has for that Arda healed shall not be Arda unmarred, but a third thing, and a greater, and yet the same. I have conversed with the Valar who were present at the making of the music, ere the beginning of the world began, and now I wonder, did they hear the end of the music? Was there not something in or beyond the final chords of Eru which, being overwhelmed thereby, they did not perceive? Or again, since Eru is forever free, maybe he made no music and showed no vision beyond a certain point. Beyond that point, we cannot see or know until our own roads have come there, Valar or Eldar or men. As I as may say a master in the telling of tales, keeping things hidden the greatest moment until it comes in due course. It may be guessed at, indeed, in some measure, by those of us who have listened with full heart and mind, but so the teller would wish. In no wise is the surprise and the wonder of the art diminished, for thus we share, as it were, in this authorship, but not so if it were told in the preface before we entered.
Then would you say is the supreme moment that Eru has reserved?
Haha, wise lady, I am an Elda, and again I was thinking of my own people, but nay, of all the children of Eru. I was thinking that by the second children we might have been delivered from death. For ever as we spoke of death being a division of the united, I thought that in my heart of death that this is not so, but the ending together of both. For that is what lies before us, so far as our reason could see, the completion of Arda and its end, and therefore also of us, the children of Arda. The end of all things, the end when all the long lives of the elves shall be wholly in the past. And then suddenly I behold a vision of Arda remade, and there the Eldar completed, but not ended, could abide in the present and forever, and there walk maybe with the children of men, their deliverers, and to sing to them such songs as in the bliss beyond bliss should make the green valleys ring and the everlasting mountain tops throb like harps.
Then Andreth looked under her brows at Finrod. And what, when ye are not singing, would ye say to us?
I can only guess. Why, wise lady, I think that we should tell you the tales of the past of Arda that was before the perils and the great deeds and the making of the Silmarils. We were the lordly ones then, but ye would come? Okay.
But ye would come.
Okay, there you go. But ye would then be at home, looking at all things intently as your own. Ye would be the lordly ones. The eyes of elves are always thinking of something else, ye would say. But ye would know then of what we were reminded of the days when first we met and our hands touched in the dark. Beyond the end of the world, we shall not change, for in memory is our great talent, as shall be seen ever more clearly as the ages of this Arda pass. A heavy burden, to be fair, I fear, but in the days of the which we now speak, of great wealth. Then he paused, and he saw Andreth was weeping silently.
1 second. I just heard the monitor go off, and so I brought it into your room. But I think it was just a weird cry out, but it sounds like everything's fine.
He thinks he's muted.
No, I don't think I'm muted. I was talking to Ariel.
I know.
I heard a baby on the monitor, so I tossed the monitor at Ariel, and she was sleeping, and she was like, "What?" Okay. I'm weeping silently.
Yes, you're weeping silently.
Alas, Lord, what then is to be done now? For we speak as if these things are, or as if they will assuredly be. But men have been diminished, and their power is taken away. We look for no Arda remade. Darkness lies before us, into which we starve in vain. If by our aid your everlasting mansions were to be prepared, they would not be builded now.
Have ye no hope?
What is hope? An expectation of good, which, though uncertain, has some foundation in what is known? No, then we have none.
And this is where we get into some stuff that Sam and I have touched on our podcast quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing that men call hope. Amdir, we call it, looking up. But if there is another, which is founded deeper, Estel, which is also Aragorn's name, we call it, and that is trust. It is not defeated by the ways of the world, for it does not come from experience, but from our nature and the first being. If we are indeed, yet another crazy word, Erehuin, the children of the One, then he will not suffer himself to be deprived of his own, not by any enemy, not even by ourselves. This is the last foundation of Estel, which we keep even when we complete or contemplate the end of all his designs. The issue must be for his children's joy. Amdir, you have not, you say. Does Estel at all abide? Think about how Christian that phrasing is.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea of we cannot be separated from God himself. The children of the One, he's not going to suffer himself to be deprived of his own, not by any enemy, not even by ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the foundation of hope.
Yep.
Is that we will not be separated. Yeah. Maybe, she said. But no. Do you not perceive that this is part of our wound, that Estel should falter and its foundations be shaken? Are we the children of the One? Are we not cast off finally? Or were we ever so? Is not the Nameless the Lord of the world?
Say it not even in question.
It cannot be unsaid. If you would understand the despair in which we talk, or walk, or in which most men walk, among the Atani, as you call us, or the seekers, as we say, those whose left the lands despair and the men of darkness and journeyed west in vain hope, it is believed that healing may yet be found, or that there is some way of escape. But it is indeed Estel? Is it not Amdir, rather, but without reason, mere flight in a dream from what waking they know that there is no escape from the darkness and death?
Mere flight in a dream, you say? In dream, many desires are revealed, and desire may be the last flicker of Estel. But you do not dream, Andreth. You confound dream and waking with hope and belief, to make the one more doubtful and the other more sure. Are they asleep when they speak of escape and healing?
Asleep or awake, they say nothing clearly. How or when shall healing come? To what manner of being shall those who see that time be remade? And what of us who before go out into the darkness unhealed? To such questions, only those of the old hope, as they call themselves, have any guess of an answer.
Those of the old hope? And who are they?
Few, but their number has grown since we came to the land, and they see that the Nameless can, as they think, be defied. Yet that is not a good reason. To defy him does not undo his work of old, and if the valor of the Eldar fails here, then their despair will be deeper. For it was not in the might of men or of any of the peoples of Arda that the old hope was grounded.
What then was this hope, if you know?
They say they say that the one will himself enter into Arda and heal men and all the marrings from the beginning to the end. This they say also, or they feign, is a rumor that has come down through years uncounted, even from the days of our undoing.
They say feign? Are you then not one of them?
How can I be, Lord? All wisdom is against them. Who is the one whom ye call Eru? If we put aside the men who serve the nameless, as do many in Middle Earth, still many men perceive the world only as a war between light and dark, equipotent. But you will say, nay, that is Manwë and Melkor. Eru is above them. Is then Eru only the greatest of the Valar, a great god among gods, as most men will say, even among the Atani, a king who dwells far from his kingdom and leaves lesser princes to do here as much as they will? Again, you say, nay, Eru is the one, alone without peer, and he made Ea and is beyond it, and the Valar are greater than we, but yet no nearer to his majesty. Is this not so?
Yes. We say this, and the Valar we know, and they say the same, all save one. But which, think you, is more likely to lie, those who make themselves humble, or he that exalts himself?
I do not doubt. And for that reason, the saying of hope passes my understanding. How could Eru enter into the thing that he has made, and then which he is beyond greatest measure? Can he, the singer, enter into his tale, or the designer into his picture? Tolkien as Tom Bombadil?
Uh-huh. I was just thinking that. He is already in it, as well as outside. But indeed, the indwelling and the outliving are not in the same mode.
Truly, so may Eru in that mode be present in Ea that proceeded from him. But they speak of Eru himself entering into Arda, and that is a thing wholly different. How? How could he, the greater, do this? Would it not shatter Arda, or indeed all of Ea?
Ask me not. These things are beyond the compass of the wisdom of the Eldar, or of the Valar, maybe. But I doubt that our words may mislead us, and that when you say greater, you think of the dimensions of Arda, in which the greater vessel may not be contained in the less. But such words may not be used of the measureless. If Eru wished to do this, and I do and I do not doubt that he would find a way, though I cannot foresee it. For as it seems to me, even if he in himself were to enter in, he must remain also as he is, the author without. And yet, Andreth, to speak with humility, I cannot conceive how else this healing could be achieved, since Eru will surely not suffer Melkor to turn the world to his own will and to triumph in the end. Yet there is no power conceivable greater than Melkor save Eru only. Therefore, Eru, if he will not relinquish his work to Melkor, who must else proceed to the mastery, then Eru must come in to conquer him. More, if even if Melkor, or Morgoth as he has become, could in any way be thrown down or thrust from Arda, still his shadow would remain, and the evil that he has wrought and sown as a seed would wax and multiply. And if remedy for this be found ere all is ended, any new light to oppose the shadow, or any medicine for the wounds, then it must, I deem, come from without.
Then, Lord, she said, looking up in wonder, you believe in this hope?
Ask me not yet, for it is still to me but a strange news that comes from afar. No such hope was ever spoken to the Quendi. To you only it was sent, and yet through you we may hear it and lift up our hearts. He paused a while, and then looking gravely at Andreth, he said, Yes, wise woman, maybe it was ordained that we, the Quendi, and ye, the Atani, ere the world grows old, should meet and bring news to one another, and so we should learn of the hope from you. Ordained, indeed, that thou and I, Andreth, should sit here and speak together across the gulf that divides our kindreds, so that while the shadow still broods in the north, we shall not wholly be afraid.
Across the gulf that divides our kindreds. Is there no bridge but mere words? And then she wept again.
There may be for some, I do not know. The gulf maybe is between our fates rather, or for else we are close akin, closer than any other creatures in the world. Yet perilous it is to cross the gulf set by doom. And should any do so, they will not find joy upon the other side, but the griefs of both, so I deem. But why dost thou say mere words? Do not words overpass the gulf between one life and another? Between thee and me, surely more has passed than empty sound. Have we not drawn nearer at all? But that is, I think, little comfort for thee.
I have not asked for comfort. For what do I need it? For the doom of men that has touched thee as
I think
woman.
this is for me.
Yep, that was you. Yep.
It threw me off too, the way it was written. For the doom of men that has touched thee as a woman, dost thou think that I do not know? Is he not my brother and dearly loved Angnor, a Cananar, the sharp flame, swift and eager? And not long are the years since you first met and your hands touched in the darkness? Yet then thou wert a maiden, brave and eager, in the morning upon the hills of Dorthonion.
So here we get to see how Andreth is now pouring forth or being caught in the love that she has for Finrod's brother, which again, as we know, elfin men don't really do that very often. So
And
it's
I
a
think
big
this
deal.
is really at the core of why she's like death is so much despair for her. She doesn't have hope because she's been in love her whole life. Like Finrod just said, she was a young maiden and now she's an old wise woman. So she's lived her
Yeah.
whole life unable to attain something that she wanted because of this difference.
Say on. Say who art now but a wise woman, alone. And age that shall not touch him has already set winter's gray in thy hair. But say not thou to me, for so he once did.
Alas, that is the bitterness, beloved Andineth, woman of men, is it not? That has run through all your words. If I could speak any comfort, you would deem it lordly from one on my side of the sundering doom. But what can I say save to remind you of the hope that you yourself have revealed?
I did not say that it was ever my hope. And even were it so, I would still cry. Why should this hurt come here and now? Why should we love you, and why should ye love us, if ye do, and yet set the gulf between?
Because we are so made, close kin. But we did not make ourselves, and therefore we, the Eldar, did not set the gulf. Nay, Adoneth, we are not lordly in this, but pitiful. That word will displease thee. Yet pity is of two kinds, one of kinship recognized, and is nearer to love, and the other is of difference, of fortune perceived, and nearer to pride. I speak of the former.
Speak of neither to me. I desire neither. I was young, and I looked on his flame, and now I am old and lost. He was young, and his flame leapt towards me, but he turned away, and he is young still. Do candles pity moths?
Or moths' candles, when the wind blows them out? Adoneth, I tell thee, Akinar the Akinar? A Kenanar? Yeah.
Iconar.
Icanar? Icanar, the sharp flame loved thee. For thy sake now he will never take the hand of any bride of his own kindred, but live alone to the end, remembering the mornings in the hills of Dorthonion. But too soon in the north wind his flame will go out. Foresight is given to the Eldar, and many things not far off, though seldom of joy. And I say to thee, thou shalt live long in the order of your kind, and he will go forth before thee, and he will not wish to return.
Then Andreth stood up and stretched her hands to the fire. Then why did he turn away? Why leave me while I had still a few good years to spend?
Alas, I fear the truth will not satisfy thee. The Eldar have one kind, and ye another, and each judges the others by themselves, until they learn, as do few. This is the time of war, Andreth, and in such days the elves do not wed or bear children, but prepare for death or for flight. Agnor has no trust, nor have I, in this siege of Angband, that it will last long, and then what will become of this land? If his heart ruled, he would have wished to take thee and flee far away, east or south, forsaking his kin and thine. Love and loyalty hold him to his. What of thee to thine? Thou hast said thyself that there is no escape by flight within the bounds of the world.
For 1 year, 1 day of the flame, I would have given all kin, youth, and hope itself, Adoneth as I am.
For that he knew, and he withdrew and did not grasp what lie to his hand. Elda he is, for such barters are paid for in anguish that cannot be guessed until it comes, and in ignorance rather than in courage the Eldar judge that they are made. Nay, Andreth, if any marriage can be between the kindred and thine, be between our kindred and thine, it shall be for some high purpose of doom. Brief it will be, and hard at the end, yea, at the least cruel fate that could befall the world would be should death should soon end it.
And that's a beautiful prophecy of, honestly, Aragorn and Arwen, of how it was this high purpose, but there was doom, and it was hard at the end when Arwen, after Aragorn dies, literally just goes back to Lothlorien. She's got nobody, and she ends up just giving up her spirit alone in the grass.
Yep.
And so, while I mean, he's trying to get at, like, it could be beautiful for a moment, but there's only ever going to be pain with these two coming together.
Yeah.
But Andreth understands that. She says this: but the end is always cruel for men. I would not have troubled him. When my short youth was spent, I would not have hobbled as a hag after his bright feet when I could no longer run beside him.
Maybe not, so you feel now. But do you think of him? Would he not have run before thee? Would he have stayed by thy side to uphold thee? Then pity thou wouldst have had in every hour, pity inescapable. He would not have thee so shamed. Andreth, Andoneth, the life and love of the Eldar dwells much in memory, and we, if not ye, would rather have a memory that is fair but unfinished than one that goes on to a grievous end. Now he will ever remember thee in the sun of the morning, and at last, and that at last evening by the water of Eulin, in which he saw thy face mirrored in the star with a star caught in thine hair, ever until the north wind brings to the night of his flame. Yeah, and forever. Yeah, and after that, sitting in the house of Mandos, in the halls of awaiting until the end of Arda.
What shall I remember? And when I go, to what halls shall I come? To a darkness in which even the memory of the sharp flame shall be quenched, even the memory of rejection. That, at least.
Finrod sighed and stood up. The Eldar have no healing words for such thoughts, Adeneth. But would you wish that elves and men had never met? Is the light of the flame, which otherwise you would have never seen, of no worth even now? You believe yourself scorned. Put away at least that thought which comes out of the darkness, and then our speech together would not have been wholly in vain. Farewell.
Darkness fell in the room. He took her hand in the light of the fire. Whither go you? She said.
North away, to the swords and the siege, and the walls of defense. And yet for a while in Beleriand rivers may run clean, leaves spring, and birds build their nests ere night comes.
Will he be there? Bright and tall, and the wind in his hair? Tell him not to be reckless, not to seek danger beyond need.
I will tell him, but I might as well tell thee not to weep. He is a warrior, Andreth, and a spirit of wrath. In every stroke that he deals, he sees the enemy who long ago did thee this hurt. But you are not for Arda. Whither you go, you may find light. Await us there, my brother and me.
Then Andreth, being urged by Finrod, said at last, This is the tale that Adenel of the house of Hador told me. Some say the disaster happened at the beginning of the history of our people, before any had yet died. The voice had spoken to us and had listened. The voice said, Ye are my children. I have sent you to dwell here. In time ye will inherit all of this earth. But first ye must be children and learn. Call on me, and I shall hear, for I am watching over you. We understood the voice in our hearts, and though we had no words yet, then the desire for words awoke in us, and we began to make them. But we were few, and the world was wide and strange. Though we greatly desired to understand, learning was difficult, and the making of words was slow. In that time we often called the voice, and the voice answered. But it seldom answered our questions, saying only, First seek to find the answer for yourselves, for ye will have joy in the finding. So grow from childhood and become wise. Do not seek to leave childhood before your time. But we were in haste, and we desired to order things to our will, and the shapes of many things that we wished to make awoke in our minds. Therefore we spoke less and less to the voice. Then one appeared among us, in our own form, visible, but greater and more beautiful, and he said that he had come out of pity. Ye should not have been left alone and uninstructed, he said. The world is full of marvelous riches, which knowledge can unlock. Ye could have food more abundant and more delicious than the poor things that ye now eat. Ye could have dwellings of ease, in which ye could keep light and shut out the night. Ye could be clad even as I.
Do you want to? We
Then
didn't really talk about this, but I think this is all
This is all
Andreth
her.
kind of explaining.
That's where hers goes up, I guess.
Yeah, this is where she finally gives the knowledge to Finrod that he's been asking about since like the very first page. Do you want to just kind of go page for page then?
Sure.
Then we looked, and lo, he was clad in the raiment that shone like silver and gold, and he had on a crown on his head and gems in his hair. If ye wish to be like me, he said, I will teach thee. It says, I will teach you, but I'm just in that mindset.
Yeah.
Then we took him as a teacher. He was less swift than we had hoped to teach us how to find or to make for ourselves the things that we desired, though he had awakened many desires in our hearts. But if any had doubted or were impatient, he would bring and set before us all that we wished for. I am a giver of gifts, he said, and the gifts shall never fail as long as ye trust me. Therefore we revered him, and we were enthralled by him, and we depended upon his gifts, fearing to return to the life without them, that now seemed poor and hard. And we believed all that he had taught, for we were eager to know the world and its being, about the beasts and the birds and the plants that grew in the earth, about our own making, and about the lights of heaven, and the countless stars, and the dark in which they are set. All that he taught seemed good, for he had great knowledge. But even more and more he would speak of the dark. Greatest of all the dark, he said, for it has no bounds. I came out of the dark, at but I am its master, for I have made light. I have made the sun and the moon and the countless stars. I will protect you from the dark. Which else would have devoured you? Then we spoke of the voice. But his face became terrible, for he was angry. Fools, he said, that was the voice of the dark. It wishes to keep you from me, for it is hungry for you. Then we went away, and we did not see him for a long time. And without his gifts we were poor. And there came a day when suddenly the sun's light began to fail, until it was blotted out, and the great shadow fell on the world, and all the beasts and birds were afraid. Then he came again, walking through the shadow like a bright fire. I know we talked about this. Do you think this is Sauron or Morgoth? Giver of Gifts makes me think Sauron, but he said that he created and he is greater than the dark. So that makes me think, I don't know.
Yeah. I think Sauron tries to mimic Morgoth in a lot of ways, and so the Giver of Gifts, that idea is probably something he got from Morgoth, and so I assume this is Morgoth.
Sure.
Especially his disdain for the voice being Eru, which
I can see that for sure.
Sauron would have maybe had a more disconnected relationship.
Yeah, maybe. I like that.
We fell upon our faces. There are some among you who are still listening to the voice of the dark, he said, and therefore it is drawing near. Choose now. Ye may have the dark as Lord, or ye may have me. But unless ye take me for Lord, and swear to serve me, I shall depart and leave you. For I have other realms and dwelling places, and do not need the earth, nor you. Then in fear we spoke as he commanded, saying, Thou art the Lord, thee only we will serve, the voice we will abjure, and will not hearken to it again. So be it, he said. Now build me a house upon a high place, and call it the house of the Lord. Thither I will come when I will. There ye shall call on me, and make your petitions to me. And when we had built a great house, he came and stood before the high seat, and the house was lit as with fire. Now, he said, come forth, anyone who still listens to the voice. And there were some, but for fear they remained still and said not. Then bow before me and acknowledge me, he said. And all bowed to the ground before him, saying, Thou art the one, great, and we are thine. Thereupon he went up into this great flame and smoke, and we were scorched by the heat. But suddenly he was gone, and it was darker than the night, and we fled from the house. Even after we went in the great dread of the dark, but he seldom appeared among us again, in fair form, and he brought few gifts. If, at great need, we dared to go to the house and pray to him to help us, we heard his voice and received his commands. But now he would always command us to do some deed or to give him some gift before he would listen to our prayer. And ever the deeds became worse, and the gifts harder to give up. The first voice we never heard again, save once. In the stillness of the night it spoke, saying, Ye have abjured me, but ye remain mine. I gave you life. Now it shall be shortened. Each of you in a little while shall come to me to learn who is your Lord, that the one ye worship, or I who made him. Which, man, that's such an identity piece. Again, as Tolkien being a Christian, a Catholic, like you are so troubled with what you need, you've forgotten who you are.
It's interesting that he is saying that he's shortening their lives, not as punishment, but as like, hey, you're going to come see me and remember the voice that was. As
a reward.
Yeah, it's a reminder rather than like punishment, like this other, being is requesting.
Exactly.
Then our terror of the dark was increased, for we believed that the voice was of the darkness behind the stars, and some of us began to die in horror and anguish, fearing to go out into the dark. Then we called on our master to save us from death, but he did not answer. But when we went to the house and all bowed down there, at last he came, great and majestic, but his face was cruel and proud. Now ye are mine, and must do my will. I do not trouble that for some of you die and go to appease the hunger of the dark, for otherwise there would be soon too many of you crawling like lice on the earth. But if ye do not do my will, ye will feel my anger, and ye will die sooner, for I will slay you. Thereafter we were grievous. Whoa, voice crack. I keep swearing I'm hearing kiddos. Thereafter we were grievously afflicted by weariness and hunger and sickness and the earth and all things were turned against us. Fire and water rebelled against us, and the birds and beasts shunned us. Or if they were strong, they assailed us. Plants gave us poison, and we feared the shadows under trees. Then we yearned for our lives as it was before our master came, and we hated him, but feared him no less than the dark. And we did his bidding, and more than his bidding. For anything that we thought would please him, however evil, we did it in the hope that he would lighten our afflictions. But at the least, he would not slay us. For most of us, this was in vain. But to some he began to show favor, to the strongest and the cruelest, and to those who went most often to the house he gave gifts to them, and knowledge that they kept secret. And they became powerful and proud, and they enslaved us, so that we had no rest from labor amidst our afflictions. Then there arose some among us who said openly in their despair, Now we know at last who lied, and who desired to devour us. Not the first voice. It is the master that we have taken, who is the darkness, and he did not come forth from it, as he said, but he dwells in it. We will serve him no longer. He is our enemy. Then in fear lest he should hear them and punish us all, we slew them, if we could. And those that fled we hunted, and if they were caught, our masters, his friends, commanded that they should be taken into the house and there done to death by fire. That pleased him greatly. His friends said, But indeed, for a while it seemed our afflictions were lightened.
But it is told that there are few that escaped us, and went away into far countries, fleeing from the shadow. Yet they did not escape from the anger of the voice, for they had built the house and bowed down in it. And they came at last to the land's end and the shores of the impassable waters, and behold, the enemy was there before them. Then it kind of breaks up here, and Bilbo writes, This is variant text, an isolated fragment, really, from some other version of the Athribeth describing the relationship between Fair and Hror.
I guess this one we kind of go back and forth, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So real quick before we jump into that, like that, so that's the lore, that's the folklore of the origin of man and why they have the gift of death, and or rather maybe the punishment, however you want to take it. It seems more like a gift because of their afflictions that they brought upon themselves through believing and falling to the deceiver. Which again, we said this is the most obvious Christian text that Tolkien has ever written, and it's not hard at all to see almost the direct allegory here of Satan, the deceiver, who claims to bring gifts of enlightenment. Oh, you could be like God. You could be like the voice if only you do these things I tell you to do. And yet it separates creation from the creator. And that was Satan's purpose, and that's Melkor's purpose.
And it's interesting too how one voice is very subtle and just like, hey, listen, and the other voice is very present and there the whole time. I guess I don't know how to phrase that, but one is definitely more subtle, and then like you said, the other is deceiving.
Yeah.
All right, so this is describing the relationship between like spirit and body. It's just like a little excerpt. There's a couple more of these, and then I think we'll be done. But
yeah, we're almost done.
We're almost there. But these excerpts kind of explain in more depth what we read with the whole debate that makes more sense. What says the wisdom of men concerning the nature of the children of Eru? Or what do you hold, Andreth, who know also much of the teaching of the Eldar?
Men say various things, be they wise or no. Many hold that there is but a single thing, the body, and that we are of one with the beasts, though the latest come and the most cunning. But others hold that the body is not at all but contains some other thing. For often we speak of the body as a house or as raiment, and that implies an indwelling, though of what we speak in uncertainty, which again, you look at like the parallels here between like evolution and
Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
spirit dwelling. Like atheists of, oh, we're just part of the beast itself. And Tolkien saying, no, there's an indwelling of a spirit given to us by the one. Um, so, anyway, among my folk, men speak mostly of the breath, or the breath of life, and they say that it is if the leaves of the house it may be seeing eyes be seen as a wraith, a shadowy image of the living that it was.
But that is a guess. And long ago we said things similar, but we do not know that the indweller is not breath. 31, which
I think that's a reference,
that's what I was gonna
like a
say. Why is
commentary
it not
reference.
like smaller?
I
Is
know,
not.
no.
Yeah, it totally threw me for a loop. But that is. We'll
31.
we'll just start. I was like, wait a minute. It's like I'm reading a teleprompter, like in Anchorman.
Joe Biden.
Yeah. uh, true enough.
That's good.
Shaman out of pressure, or whatever he says.
Pressure.
Pressure.
That
Oh
was
boy,
good.
that was a great moment. Uh,
31.
but this is a guess, and long ago we said things similar, but we do not know that the indweller is not, which the horror uses, and that seeing eyes cannot, wow, and that seeing eyes cannot see the one that is houseless, but that the living eyes may draw from the Feo within the image, which the houseless conveys to the housed, the memory of itself.
Maybe. But among the people of the Marak, men speak rather of the fire, or the fire of the hearth, from whose burning the house is warmed, and from which arises the heats of the heart, or the smokes of wrath.
That is another guess, and holds also some truth, I believe.
Doubtless. But those who speak thus of the breath or of the fire do not think of it as belonging to men only, but as the life of all living things. As men have their houses, but beasts also have their dwellings in holes or in nests, so both have a life within that may grow cold or go forth.
Then in what way do men differ from beasts in such lore? How can they claim to ever have had a life indestructible?
The wise have considered this, and among them are some that speak more after the manner of the Eldar, but they speak rather of three things: the earth, and the fire, and the dweller, by which they intend the stuff of which the body is built, which of itself is inert and does not grow or move, and the life which grows and takes to itself increase, and the indweller who dwells there and is master of both house and of hearth, or once was.
And wishes to never leave them, and once need never do so? It was then the indweller who suffered the wound. I
Not so. Clearly, not so, but man, the whole house, life, and master.
think this is still you, right?
No,
No? Oh, all right.
no, it, it's got the little
Oh, I
thing
didn't.
there.
All right, that's fine. But the master must have been the one that was wronged, as you say, or did wrong, as I guess, for the house might suffer the folly of the master, but hardly the master for the misdeeds of the house. But let that be, for you do not desire to speak of it. Do you yourself hold this belief?
It is not a belief, for we do not know enough for any certainty concerning earth or growth or thought, and maybe never shall. For if they were designed by the one, then doubtless they will hold for us some mystery inscrutable, however much we learn. But it is a guess that is near I hold. And this is another little excerpt jumps from, as Bilbo says, finally another text closely associated with the manuscripts of the Athrobeth, although it would seem to have more to do with elves only than the elves and men. So this is a conversation between like Manwë and Eru and the Valar themselves.
Yeah, it's very
Specifically.
quick. I'll be Manwë.
Cool.
Manwë spoke to Eru, saying, Behold, an evil appears in Arda, that we did not look for. The firstborn children, whom thou madest immortal, suffer now severance of spirit and body. Many of the fair of the elves in Middle Earth are now houseless, and even in Aman there is one. The houseless we summon to Aman to keep them from the darkness, and all who hear our voice abide here in waiting. What further is there to be done? Is there no means by which their lives may be renewed, to follow the course which thou hast designed? And what of the bereaved who mourn those who have gone?
Let the houseless be rehoused.
How shall this be done?
Let the body that was destroyed be remade. Or let the naked Fea be reborn as a child.
It is thy will that we should attempt these things, for we fear to meddle with thine children.
Have I not given the Valar the rule of Arda and power over all the substances thereof, to shape it at their will under my will? Ye have not been backward in these things.
There's definitely some
As for my
typos there.
firstborn, yeah. As for my firstborn, have ye not removed great numbers of them to Aman from the middle earth in which I set them?
This we have done for fear of Melkor, and with good intent, though not without misgiving, but to use our power upon the flesh that thou hast designed to house the spirits of thy children. This seems a matter beyond our authority, even were it not to be beyond our skill.
I give you authority. The skills ye already have. If ye will take heed, look, and ye will find that each spirit of my children retaineth in itself the full imprint and memory of its former house, and in its nakedness it is open to you, so that ye may clearly perceive all that is in it. After this imprint, ye may make it for it again such a house in all particulars as it had before evil fell on it. Thus ye may send it back to the lands of the living.
Then Manwë asked further, O Iluvatar, hast thou not spoken also of rebirth? Is that too within our power and authority?
It shall be within your authority, but it is not in your power. Those whom ye judge fit to be reborn, if they desire it, and understand clearly what they incur, ye shall surrender to me, and I will consider them. And this is the most Christian thing he could possibly say. If you don't understand, go read John chapter 3, conversation between Jesus and Nicodemus. Jesus is saying this thing exactly. In order to receive the gift of eternal life, we have to be reborn. Nicodemus thinking like literally like, what do you mean? We have to like go back into our mom and come back out? And Jesus is like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm giving you a new spirit. Like, you are going to be created anew when you put your faith in me. And that's exactly what Eru is saying through this. It's not within your authority, it's God's authority doing this, but it is in your power. For those whom ye judge fit to be reborn, if they desire it. If they desire it. You have a choice to be reborn. Tolkien knew it. That's the most Christian thing that he could put out there in his world, is that we have the opportunity to be reborn. We as men, as fallen, sinful creatures who have time and time again decided to follow Satan or Melkor, right? The time and time again, we've chosen our earthly desires and the things we feel like we need because this liar told us is what we had to have. But God's saying, no, I can reshape your life. I can redeem everything if you desire it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I think it puts a pretty nice bow on our last podcast is Tolkien's is Lord of the Rings Christian. The only caveat I will say is you have to dig pretty deep to find this stuff. This close allegory, I should say.
Yeah.
But even it's not a direct allegory. It's still within his world and makes sense within his world. It's just figuring out what is at the core of his world, and so it's not direct allegory even in that. It's beautifully done. It's beautifully done. And it makes me think of Glorfindel, who actually died during the fall of Gondolin. fighting a Balrog and rescuing Tuor and allowing them to escape. He died, sacrificed himself fighting a Balrog, and then he went to the halls of Mandos and was accepted by Eru to be reborn into his body. And then he came back and then dwelt with he fought in the Angmar Wars, and then he dwelt with Elrond in Rivendell, which is pretty cool. Which I'm pretty sure in one of his letters, Tolkien mentioned that it was an accident that he reused the name.
Yeah.
And then he was like, you know what? It fits. Let's just make it work. And it just goes to show that, like, even when he messes up, it still fits perfectly.
Yeah. It's amazing. His world, his mind, his threads, and just the fact that he has so much of this extra stuff. Like you said, you have to dig very deep, and the majority of people probably have never even heard of this conversation or even got this far into it. And I hope you were able to follow along with our rendition of it. But again, it's beautiful. We have hope. We have Estelle. It's not just a looking up. It's not just a Hail Mary, even though he was Catholic and he probably said a lot of those. It genuinely is a confidence that as we put our faith in Jesus, he takes care of the end. Revelation is a book of victory, the end of the Bible. He comes down on a white horse with a robe dripping in blood, a tattoo on his thigh, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, to reclaim his own. No evil embodiment of Satan or demons or Melkor or Morgoth or Sauron or anything can even come close or withstand. And that's exactly what Finrod says to Andreth too. They're not the same. They're not peers. Yeah. Eru is far above.
I love too the way like Tolkien writes that, where Finrod learns that from Andreth, even though she doesn't say it. Like through their conversation, he learns to have this Estelle, to have this specific hope, even though Andreth doesn't even have it herself at that point.
Right.
But he learns it from her.
Yeah.
It's beautifully done. I will say thank you for sticking around, if anybody has, and listening to me ramble and stumble. And I'll be honest, I hate reading out loud. I'm awful at it. So shout out Mom. She always tried to force me to read out loud, and I never would. So you finally win in the end, Mom.
She's gonna love it. She's gonna love it. No, you weren't. You're not awful at it. It was fun. It was fun going back and forth on that, and
it was fun. It helped like absorb me into it more, having like, it was like almost like I was actually having the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Same. It felt that way. And it was funny, like we were like, oh, Andrew, I put in the article in ChatGPT. I was like, who has more dialogue, Andreth or Finrod? And it said Andreth because of that like last part where she explains the entire lore of everything. Because as we were going through, I was like, he's reading a lot more than I am.
So I feel like the way Finrod speaks too is a little harder to read.
Yeah, definitely a little bit more of that like
high elf,
like high language. Yeah, high elven language, ancient language, if you will. Yeah. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. It's beautiful, and I hope that, I would say go back and listen to, I don't know how long ago, probably like a year at this point, that we did our last episode on this, where Sam and I kind of just picked out things and then like analyzed little excerpts of it. Give it a read, listen to this podcast, and then go check out that one, because I think there's a lot of really cool nuggets that we dove into from the previous episode.
For sure. Well, I think they're coming up on 2 hours here, buddy. Should we light the beacon?
I think we should. I'm pretty sure that I had my microphone muted for the first like 10 minutes, so the YouTube version of this might be a little weird. I'll have to cut that out, but
it's all good.
But you live and you learn. Let's light those beacons and go to bed.
That's right. Gondor is calling for aid. Will you, Rohan, answer? If you liked the podcast, please light a beacon of your own by sharing with fellow friends or fans. And don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review. I'm done. I got nothing left.
All right,
leave a review.
we've actually gotten quite a bit more downloads than we're used to. I don't know if this is why this is happening. I'll take it. This is fantastic. But if there's a lot more people downloading, we got to be leaving reviews as well. Let's get this momentum rolling, right? So as Sam's saying, let's get these reviews in.
Yeah, come on. We're breaking in the halls of Metacell. Like we are calling and asking for that aid from you all. And we'd also just love to hear your story a little bit as well. Thank you again to Darren to share his some thoughts that he had for us from Wyoming. And man, wherever you're listening, whatever part of Arda, the world that you come from, that you're listening, we would love to hear a little bit of your story, any of your thoughts that you have on any of our podcasts so far. We'd love to do this as a fellowship. But no idea when we'll podcast again or what we will podcast again about, but we will be back. We will return. So just like the one, he's coming back for his own. We're going to come back and podcast for you guys again. But yeah, with that, we thank you again for joining us for some well-earned comforts. And until next time, we bid you a very fond farewell.
All right, real quick before I hit end stream, just give a smile or something for the thumbnail.